spread one love, okay? Thanks for tuning in to us, the MNM Show.
MNM Show.
World travel guru, and outspoken queen of the DC DMV area.
You're hyping me right now.
I'm so hyped to have you here right now. I love you. But before we go more into you, because the majority of the show is going to be about you, because we want to hear about you, I want to hear how my sisters Molly and Jay are doing today. We haven't been together since last week, and I like to do our weekly updates. What's going on in your lives? Molly Ruland, how are you doing today?
What up, though?
Hey.
I'm good, man. I'm good.
Yeah?
I
don't believe you.
Sometimes you just gotta fucking fake it till you make it, Nikki, I mean, I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah. What are the highlights? What's been happening in the life of Boss Lady Molly Ruland this week?
Well, really exciting stuff. We're actually relaunching One Love Massive on Valentine's Day. We're gonna just spread some love all over the city and beyond, and legally this time. But yeah, that's a whole story for another show. But yeah, we're relaunching the website. We're coming out with this new platform for all of our live content. And the projector has arrived, so we're launching our digital advertising wall on our Florida Avenue side of the building.
Hey. Great stuff.
We've hit some major milestones. 171,000 minutes of our video content was viewed in the last 7 days.
What?
So
Ballin'.
Shout out to the One Love Massive staff, for sure, for making that happen. And if it wasn't for the hardworking crew at One Love, we would not have hit those goals by any means. So, lots of really good stuff, just recognizing the responsibility and trying to wear a whole lot of hats at one time and trying to do a good job and sleep and see my house every once in a while. And
yeah.
How's
little baby Lily doing?
I don't know. I haven't seen her in a long time. You know what I mean?
For those who don't know, Lily is her amazing, super cute dog. It's like
daughter,
That's so dog daughter, and mascot of One Love Massive.
She is though. She gets all the shine, but
she does.
Yeah, she's at home chilling on a pile of blankets. I'm pretty sure.
That sounds pretty good.
I know. I live vicariously through my dog quite often. I just channel my inner Lily.
Well, thank you for giving us a little insight into the life of the creator of One Love Massive. For those of you watching, please like and share this episode. Show some love to One Love Massive. They're doing really incredible and amazing things by showcasing all of the just immense talent that's here in the District of Columbia that, a lot of folks don't get on the radio or in major TV channels and stations. And so this place, One Love Massive, is really helping showcase the culture and the Black vibrancy and the multicultural vibrancy that exists here in the district. So shout out to One Love. And again, reinforcing, shout out to our audio visual crew who actually make this show happen.
That's right.
DJ Mike Phillips, Nick Romero. I almost said Rick Nomero.
That should be your DJ name, Nick. Rick Nomero. That's awesome.
Who is that? But thank you guys so much for all your hard work.
In fact, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We need 473 more subscriptions, and then we reach the next level of being content creators on YouTube.
Hey.
It's a really big deal. We already hit 4,000 watch hours for we have to hit it within 12 months, and we did it within 60 days. So now we just need to get those subscribers. So
That's
if you're
major.
watching this, please go to our YouTube channel. In fact, we're streaming this on YouTube as
Yes, we
well
do.
every week. So please
go
go to our YouTube
subscribe
channel
right
and
now.
subscribe,
Hey.
and you will help us continue to spread the good word. So thank you, Nikki. I appreciate the
Of
shout
course,
out.
we love One Love Massive.
Thanks. man.
And how is my queen sister with a beautiful head wrap today, I must say,
Yes.
who's also running for DC Democratic Committee woman of Ward 5. What? The one, the only, the real Jay Mills. How you doing?
Jay Mills. I'm really good, Nikki.
Oh my God. When you do that transition from Jay Mills to Naughty Nina in one,
Yeah.
it makes me a little uncomfortable, but
I
like
love
in a
it.
good way.
I love it.
Uncomfortable, like, do your clothes feel tight?
Like, I'm not as. Yeah, because that's because I'm pregnant. But it's because, like, almost like when I see, Nicki Minaj or Lil Kim, like do their thing. And I'm like, damn, I wish I could have a little bit of that, but I'm kind of just awkward and like.
No way.
That's my sexy dance too. I'm like, oh, yeah.
Oh,
Me too. Me too. It's just a personality that comes out sometimes.
I love it.
I know. I want to be more like Nina.
She's liberated. She's a
So
liberated woman.
Like some people sing in their shower. I like channel my inner Nina in the shower.
like this.
Yeah, like hey, ayo. That's my go-to.
How is Jay Mills doing?
Jay Mills is doing wonderful.
I mean, look at those lashes.
Right.
Oh, on
Saying.
fleek.
Also a red lip. I just wanna.
Oh man, thank
Business
you.
shout out later.
Yes, to Dr. Lashes.
That's a memorable name.
Yeah. I had a really nice week. Last night I got to see SZA. It was a nice surprise to check out the concert, and she gave a great show. It was really inspiring to me as an artist. Every time I see another artist, I'm always kind of just watching them from the professional tip, like, this could be me. This is what it feels like to be like that, especially in like the VIP kind of situation where you're just all too aware of just how human an artist is. I feel like there's this distance sometimes to where you forget an artist is a real human being that just wakes up and they were not always this, and they have their doubts, and they get out there on stage and they do their job like everybody else does a job. It's just a job that this person happens to do. And when you're able just to see how real it is, how human they are, it kind of is inspiring to you. Like, yo, I'm a human.
Yeah.
I could maybe do that.
I could do that.
Yo, SZA's like real human with her work. Like
She's human
real
as
human
fuck.
about
And,
it.
Yeah, and she was like telling little stories about the inspiration behind each song and kind of that flow that the album had. To me, when you listen to it, you can just tell that this is a slice of a 20-something's life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, you can love it, hate it, judge her or whatever, but it's just real.
Yeah.
Like, it's so real. You feel her live and hurt and love through that music, and she verified it with the stories in between. So
I saw her perform at Afropunk in August of 2017, and like everybody that went to her side of stage knew every word of every song. Like, people were deep in their feelings with it, and that made me have respect for her and what she does. But when I actually listened to the words, I'm like, yeah, this is like me when I was like 21 or 22. Like, I'm not on this shit anymore, so I can't relate to it. But I respect her for where she's at in her life and helping other side chicks get through their side chick issues
it's
and whatnot.
But wasn't that the
Is
thing?
she
I
That
wanna
it wasn't a
stop.
side
Okay.
chick?
Or is he the side chick? Because I just feel like
I mean, I like how you flip it. I don't know.
you're only a side chick if you're like, oh, I wanted this other thing. Like, otherwise, like, really, you're the side chick, and you.
True that.
I don't want to be the side chick.
I don't know.
I
I
don't
guess
wanna
I
be the
feel
side
kind of
chick either.
triggered with it when it comes to being very young. Like, when you're in your 30s, you know what you're doing. You know exactly what you're doing. But when you're in your late teens, early 20s, you believe the lies.
Yes.
This grown married man is actually paying attention to you, your young ass. He has a whole grown wife with a career and degrees and kids and the house. And he's into you. And he's telling you you are the light of, oh my God, and you believe him. You really do, because you're young. And you're dumb. And everybody tries to tell you that you're young and you're dumb. You're like, you don't know what you're talking about. No. He understands me. True life. True life. I felt like that earlier today.
It's resonating hard right now.
You don't understand. We have a bond.
I'm like, I am not. I am not.
But
I live there.
You are aware that he doesn't love her anymore. He found something new in me, and that my man is your man.
Your
no, he's actually not your man.
It's actually her man.
It's her man.
It's actually no one's man.
Right.
Yeah.
Both
He's not
sides
even
of
his
that,
own
right?
man, technically.
Yeah.
Y'all up here sharing them.
But shout out to SZA nonetheless for putting it out there in a very real human way, in a beautiful way. Her voice is, gorgeous, and she's got a really interesting energy. So where was she performing?
At the Fillmore.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Fillmore.
It was sold out. I heard the show sold out in 13 minutes.
Oh wow.
Yeah, man.
Louise,
She's
good for her.
really like pulling on people's
heartstrings. I mean,
Yes.
everybody knew all the words to everything. Some songs she just didn't even have to. She didn't have to sing. The audience just took it all away and harmonized. And
That's when you know you've made it. Like, you don't even have to work. You're just like,
and it was just so
Sing my
empowering.
song.
Like,
you're
you
like smoking weed.
yeah, man. Shout outs to her. Shout outs to all the artists that just make songs about your life. Like, you live it, you hurt, and you art about it. Shout outs to that. Whatever your story is, whatever your truth is, sharing it on a beat is dope.
Well, thank you for telling us about your beautiful artistic life and experiences this past week. That's really cool. I need to get out to more live concert events because they always re-energize me and give me hope about this world. But I want to shout out the star, Aja Taylor of tonight's show. How are you, Ms. Taylor? What's going on in your life this past week?
Yeah, so the Eagles won the Super Bowl, so I know, first of all, that's the best part. You know, we kicked off Black History Month with a devastating blow to white supremacy.
Whoop, whoop.
Okay.
Whoop, whoop. And if you don't know, now you know.
I didn't think about it that way, but that's
racist.
awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Please.
what it meant.
Okay.
That's
I don't
what it
watch
was.
football,
That's
like,
what happened.
Yeah,
We beat the
that is-
Patriots.
Come on now.
Racism is
Come
over.
on. We done beat the Patriots. That's
It's
it.
the beginning. And Black Panther's about to come out.
Come on now.
You can't tell us.
Nothing. And it's okay, Cap. Like, if someone shares this YouTube link with you, I know you watched the Super Bowl because I know you didn't miss that. Okay, because real recognize real.
I didn't
okay?
watch the Super Bowl.
I didn't watch the
all.
whole season of football, and I just was like, okay. I felt like a cheater for checking stats.
I just celebrated the win. Whoop whoop.
Oh no, I had to. I had to like be
Whoop,
there.
whoop.
I
in
celebrated
my-
the
in my
party
outfit.
and like the rum and the like 7-layer dip and the
No. I'm like on the
joints.
team. I'm like I'm an auxiliary member, and so I was like, they might have to tag me. Yeah, something I might have to. I just had to be there for my man Doug Peterson. But so we won the Super Bowl, and that is like the highlight. That was the highlight of my Sunday. Then I watched This Is Us, but I couldn't watch it on Sunday because I knew it was gonna depress me, and I
Someone likes
couldn't
that
come
show.
down. I was like, we just won the Super Bowl. Obviously, I'm not gonna watch Jack die tonight.
I watched it the
Like,
next day too.
I was like, I don't want to watch that. Like, if we had lost, I would have watched it because then I could like get deeper into my sorrow and my tears.
wow.
But no, This Is Us had me. I'm still messed up about it. Me and my mom were texting yesterday. I was like, I'm really fucked up. Like, I can't believe like he's dead.
That's how
and we
he
knew he was
went?
gonna die from the first episode. And I
He's
was
not
like,
real.
no, he is
He
real.
is real.
What?
Okay.
What? We started out.
He's like shaking her fist.
Time out.
at me.
Real mommy.
Literally.
My sister called me. I didn't understand. And it was on the Super Bowl. And they were so selfish. I'm like, dude, what are you talking about?
like, Jay!
I'm like, what?
The
I
show
hate you,
really
Kate.
should be
You know-
called "What Happened to Jack," but now we know.
I
But
hate you,
He
Kate.
is very real. He's like the
Very
real
real.
great white hope
He
for
is
America.
the real great white hope.
He gives black people hope
What?
for America.
And he
Apparently I really need to
died.
watch this show.
And he
There's
died.
like-
Take
Girl,
some
you gotta
notes
see
from
this
old
show.
Jack.
This show is amazing. Oh my God. It's
so
exploration
good. Please
of
watch it.
the American family, of gender roles,
Interracial
of
adoption.
interracial relationships,
Black
yes,
love.
all of it.
Wow.
It's deep.
Mental health. And like
Mental
why it's
health,
important. Why everyone needs therapy.
Addiction.
Could
This
they just
show.
like take a poll of everything people cared about and like build a show around it?
Yes.
And it's so well written. It's like written by someone who was like, I'm going to take such attention and I'm going to develop these characters to the point where they really have like deep personalities and like deep stories that they stick to, and that like they took such care in the casting that like the young versions of them and the
Look
older
like the
versions of them, I mean,
older-
yeah, look like them, act like them,
It's
their
amazing.
mannerisms. It's just like a study in like just
Humanity.
beautiful, glorious television, which we just do not have that much of, in my
I
opinion.
can't wait to watch it.
Sounds
It's
like a
ruined
lifetime
a couple of my
movie.
days too.
It kind of is lifetimey, but it's so good.
So good.
So good.
Also
Yeah.
good is Frankie and Grace.
That show's pretty funny. I caught a few episodes.
Super
of that.
funny.
I haven't
Is
seen
that the one where the husbands?
Yes.
Okay.
But it's
Word.
Where are the husbands? Okay, that's right.
Well, thank you for sharing with us about your Super Bowl
Yes,
experience.
Super Bowl and sadness together.
You know, I didn't.
forever.
I didn't watch the Super Bowl. I actually watched Harry Potter again.
I didn't watch the
Um,
Super Bowl either.
Which house are you in?
Gryffindor.
Gryffindor.
Slytherin?
Clearly.
Slytherin.
I mean,
Ravenclaw.
Slytherin is cool.
Is this real life?
This is
this
real
happening
life.
Right now?
Slytherin is
I'm
cool
just
because
kidding.
Severus Snape is a part of Slytherin.
I'm just saying.
And he's the real VIP of the whole series.
He
But
was.
otherwise, fuck Slytherin. I said it.
No, just fuck Malfoy.
Gryffindor.
Don't do
You're out of
that.
pocket, Nikki. Out of pocket.
I know I'm not supposed to cuss. I gotta practice because I'm bringing life into the
Oh,
world.
it won't,
I was
it
gonna
won't
say, we're not
understand you for like
supposed
at
to
least a
curse?
year.
Wait,
You're
we
good.
can't curse?
No, I
Oh.
mean you can.
Oh, I was like, we should.
I'm
bend the rules.
trying. I'm trying to be better and check my potty mouth after 17 years of restaurant industry.
I realized my dirtiest words are not cursing.
Ooh.
I know. So yeah.
Everyday words.
But yeah,
I
I
love
didn't-
watching the look on other people's faces after J Mill says stuff. It's like the best. Like both of you, like it's so good.
You don't know yet. It hasn't quite
I mean, hey,
I mean, she saw the
a lightweight.
the vestibule conversation,
Oh,
so I'm sure there was.
I
But
did tune in.
your vagina has a vestibule.
It does.
once again on the M&M
That's right.
Show,
Nice.
hashtag vestibule.
Dr. Molly here to inform you about your vagina. How you doing?
Make sure it's warm.
But you know, I am glossing over that one again. And I didn't watch the Super Bowl. I watched Harry Potter. And then the next day, I watched the recap of the best commercials and the worst
Oh,
commercials.
That's the only reason I watch that anyways.
I know. And usually, I hate commercials on TV. But for the Super Bowl, they always like turn out and have the best ones. But anyway, yeah, shout out to ending white supremacy. Although I didn't
Down with
notice.
Tom Brady.
I didn't notice any football players. I did catch the beginning, like kneeling or anything, and I was wonder if they were like, "Y'all better not effing kneel for the Super Bowl," you know, like in solidarity with Black Liberation Movement and
I didn't know.
ending.
Maybe they made a decision to not put the camera on the teams, so nobody would know if they did or did not.
I don't know.
Oh, I bet you, because the NFL's, my takeaway from the Super Bowl is that they look like they broke as shit. Like, their whole razzle dazzle seems to have completely sizzled.
Fizzle,
Yeah.
fazzled.
I don't. Stop
I mean,
it.
they're actually losing. They're losing viewers, and like so. Like Brett Favre came out and said he cringes anytime he sees a young person play football. So like you have a lot of football greats
Yeah.
who have come out and said, moms, dads, parents, do not let your kids play football. And there has been like this mass exodus of kids from like Pop Warner leagues and all that, because parents are like, you know, hell no, now when you have like a perfectly healthy like 35-year-old dropping dead or like, you know, killing everyone in the house and then killing himself, and then they're like, I don't know what that is. It's like, it's because
it's crazy. It's really crazy.
It's crazy times in
the
America.
hits they take.
And it's also interesting times here in the District of Columbia, which is
segue.
part of the reason, I know, you like how I do that, which is part of the reason that I invited you to the show, because you are someone here who for quite some time has been deeply involved with community issues, with DC government and politics, and holding folks accountable and advocating for change. So I want to introduce you a little bit further as the first ever advocacy director of Bread for the City. Shout out to Bread for the City. I think we may have a graphic for them with the website. We may not, but if you don't, definitely check out Aja's organization at www.breadforthecity.org, and that's spelled all correctly with the FOR, not the number 4, breadforthecity.org. And Aja, can you tell us a little bit more about the mission of Bread for the City and what you've been creating there over the last 4 years?
Totally. So I've actually been at Bread for the City for 5 years. Isn't that crazy?
Time flies.
It does
How
fly.
old is Bread for the City?
43 years old. So Bread for the City is way older than I am. So Bread for the City is a 43 years old social services organization that actually started as a medical clinic. So a group of folks in a church who wanted to provide medical services for sex workers. And noticing that, so the district used to have actually a really robust sex work. I don't want to, not industry, but a lot of sex workers in the district. Still sex workers now. Yeah, like K Street was hot, but people weren't able to get services, and so had come together to make sure that these folks were able to get access to medical care.
No, I'm sorry.
Hey,
I know that was like what
Completely
just
irrelevant tangent. Please proceed talking about the
that's
awesome work
real.
that Bread for the City has done
That's
in
real.
Washington,
Right.
DC.
Sex work is work.
Yes, providing building capacity in places where they are lacking resources.
Right. I mean, so started off there and gradually like moved to food, because it was like, yes, not only are people lacking in not having attention or access to medical care, but also don't have food. Added social services, then later added legal services, and then most recently, so I think 2 years now, an advocacy department. And part of that was this shift organizationally that was instigated really by clients holding the organization accountable, and also staff holding the organization accountable for changing the way that we did service work. So there was definitely, so George is our CEO, one of the few black CEOs in the city, definitely a few black male CEOs in the city of organizations like ours. And when he came in, and it's so interesting because I've only been there 5 years, and so people are like, no, like the front desk was white. And I was like, what? It was like everyone was white. And so you look at an organization that had a real challenge, not just with diversity and inclusion in hiring, but also like certainly as we were undergoing this process and like talking about race and racism and the social services industry, this real challenge with like even the way that we were doing our work, right? Where the people that we serve wanted more input, wanted more ability to choose. So not only in like our medical clinic, but in deciding like what programs we have and support. And so for the last, I think, probably 4 or 5 years, we've really stepped up our work around intentional anti-racism and working with other service organizations to also step up their game, right? This recognition that the advocacy space is super white, and that really affects what sorts of policies we advocate for, how we advocate for them, what we're willing to compromise on. The fact that the services space is so white, and that was affecting the ways that people, mostly black folks and brown folks, were receiving services. And yeah, like that has been my primary role there as advocacy director, has been working to create this campaign for the creation and preservation of affordable housing in the district. And so that's not just the actual production of new units, even though that's incredibly important. It's also about making sure that we have policies in place that actually make it so that those units will be able to be used by the people that are intended. It's also about making sure there are policies that protect and also expand public housing. It's also about making sure that there are policies like strong tenant protection laws that make sure that when residents who are living in public housing and undergo a redevelopment, that when they're displaced, if they're displaced because of the redevelopment temporarily, that they're able to come back to the new development. And you want to go, these are things that sound very elementary, but these are the things that have caused us to have a 40,000 person or reduction in Black folks in the district, right?
Over what time period is that?
In the last 10 years. So
10 years.
Yes, in the last 10 years, there's been,
Wow.
40,000 people is a lot of people being pushed out to neighboring jurisdictions. And there is this real problem when you look, so like we're in Shaw now, and Shaw is one of the most historic Black neighborhoods where so much Black brilliance and Black intellectualism and Black art really rooted in DC, and like was rooted in DC, but really like drove a lot of pop culture in the country, right? Like when you have like Marvin Gaye's, like when you have like Duke Ellington, right? All of that. And there's this desire for new residents, especially new white residents, to want to consume Black culture, right? To want to move to the Shaws and like, it feels poppin' and you feel like you're a part of, this very rich history and culture. But then there's not also this desire to want to make sure that the people who have created it and curated this beautiful experience for you are able to stay in the city. And so it's like, yeah, it's not enough just to like learn the go-go songs and want to dance to it at 8th Street Festival. You need to make sure that Berry Farm, where Junkyard started, is able to have their redevelopment go in a way that they want to. And that's including like if they don't want any redevelopment at all, like we have to really start thinking of these places and spaces as places and spaces of like cultural birth. Where really beautiful things are created and not just these places. I heard one candidate describe it tonight, unfortunately, as like rife with gun violence.
Who said that?
Yeah, who said that?
One of the candidates, Bread for the City, is a 501c3 organization that does not endorse any candidate, but I can report a fact, which was that one of the candidates, Marcus Goodwin, who is the candidate for at-large, said like we needed to deal with like our communities that are like rife with gun violence, and that just isn't how I think of them. And that is understanding. I say that understanding that that homicide rates are alarming, and that like when young people die, especially and young people are murdered and are murdering other young people, that it really is cause for concern. But we have to also start like talking about our communities as these like beautiful places, because they are, right? Like we have all of these rich resources.
I'm glad you said that, because at tonight's candidate forum, like I had to hold my tongue. I wanted to yell out so bad at Marcus Goodwin, like wrong crowd, dude, wrong framing. Like just the language that he was using was not... It was not what the people were like laughing at him, but he wasn't trying to be funny. So I was just like, I don't think he is connected or knows like this audience. You know what I'm saying?
No,
but I respect, anyone trying to run and like do good things for the city. But I'm definitely concerned about the way he thinks about the Black community and how he frames issues.
I'll say what concerned me most, honestly, was each of the candidates' answers to one of the questions. It was a crazy question in the first. It was framed in a way that really bothered me. I'll say, I won't say crazy. It was a question that bothered me about kids who are the cream of the crop getting laptops. Yes. It was like, I can't get laptops for my salutatorians and valedictorians, and I'm not talking about those other kids, is what she said. I'm talking about the cream of the crop. And so I'm like, oh, great. Like, this is an opportunity for these 3 people who are running. I want to say actually 4 people are running. One just did not show up, the incumbent, Anita Bonds. And that was disappointing. There were over 300 people there tonight. And we were live streaming.
Oh, where did it take place?
It was at the Women's National Democratic Committee right over in DuPont Circle.
Is it a public event?
It was.
Yes.
Yeah, it was public. But it sold out in like 15 minutes. Which we did not anticipate, but is a sign that people were really excited.
That's
They're really excited about these races, right? I mean, and like Phil Mendelssohn showed up, and this was like the first, so it was disappointing to see that when another incumbent did think that it was important enough to show up. And these 3 candidates, I don't think people should act like anything's in the bag. Like these folks had a lot to offer.
So
really
who are
had
the
a lot of
candidates
substance.
tonight? Who's
Yeah,
up there?
just let's back up for a second and educate our viewers about what's happening. So it is 2018, and we are entering the election cycle right now. On June 19th, there will be a Democratic primary, and then again in November, there will be the full regular election. But the primary in D.C., because this is a 91% Democratic city, really determines who's going to win in November. So tonight, there was an at-large candidate forum for the positions that Anita Bonds currently holds, and also for the chairman position of the DC City Council, which Phil Mendelssohn has held for the last 4 years. But before that, he was an at-large council member and has been on the DC Council for, I think, nearly 20 years now, and worked his way up. He was an ANC commissioner. So anyway, the people that were running for these 2 positions tonight were on the at-large slate against incumbent Anita Bonds, Jeremiah Lowry, Marcus Goodwin, and Aaron Holmes. So definitely Google them, check out their websites. You can make a decision and an assessment for yourself. And I also recommend that folks follow on Twitter the hashtag Decision18, and it's spelled kind of funny. It's DCISION 18. So you can see pictures and comments from people about what actually happened tonight. So that is for the at-large position. And then for the chairman position, which really is the most powerful position on the DC City Council, next to the mayor, who's, not on the council, but, running the city. For that chairman position, there's incumbent Phil Mendelssohn, and then major challenger Ed Lazier, and then we've got good old Calvin Gurley, who's running again for the 9th time, I believe, who has never won but seems to have a good heart. I think. I don't really know. But those are the 3 people who are running, and I'm allowed to talk about people however I want, because I am not a 501c3 entity. I am here representing myself as a Ward 4 resident. So that's what's going on. Check the hashtag Decision18. So, ladies, I want to know, have you ever been to a candidate forum in DC before?
No.
You should really go. They're wild.
So
kind
much
of
fun.
circus entertainment.
The one last year with Vincent Orange and Robert White, Vincent Orange was dancing down the aisle, and
Vincent Orange was tossing
testifying.
footballs and doing all kinds of acrobatics. It was
an event.
Amusing.
It was an event.
Yeah. So well
Your expression is so.
I was trying not to make one.
get ready, J Mills.
I kind of want to eat
I
a
really
bunch of
thought my
acid
face
and go
was
to one of
straight.
those and just freak out.
You should. They're always a good time, but they're great opportunities for people to actually get to know the candidates, hear them talk about the issues, and tweet about it and post about it, which adds another element of public accountability, so you can follow up with them later. You said when you ran for office you would support yada yada yada. So what you gonna do about it now that you're in office? So there will be more candidate forums coming. Hopefully Anita Bonds will show up for one. Although, I don't know, because other people in the past have not showed up for candidate forums because they feel like they don't have to.
Brandon Todd didn't show up to candidate
No,
forums.
in fact, what Brandon Todd did at a candidate forum that also had about 300 Ward 4 candidates was send his campaigners to put his sign out front and then not even show up or have his campaigning team come in to hear about the concerns of the community issue. They just posted their signs and like rolled out. And they still won the election because they got a lot of money and were good on their door knocking front, but also because in the last election, there was less than 4% of registered voters that actually turned out, which shows some of the apathy.
Wait, less than 4%?
You heard me.
Yeah.
Yes, less than 4%.
That's like the same percentage as like direct mail.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
It was really sad, you know? So I'm really excited about this
crazy.
upcoming election because there are some really awesome
Agreed.
grassroots people who are running for various positions, including for the DC Democratic State Committee.
Dump Trump.
Exactly. And including for the at-large position.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to go ahead and say it. Ed Lazier and Jeremiah Lowry in particular are two people who have been accountable to Black residents, to low-income residents, to working moms, to people that care about food deserts, to people that are actively working on childcare. And never once that I've known them have they betrayed the interests or negotiated against the interests of the actual residents of D.C. I feel like I can trust those candidates. I respect Phil Mendelson because he has helped communities win the minimum wage increase in D.C. and past paid sick days. But I tell you, over the last 4 years that he's been chairman, I've literally seen the joy and like the color in his face drain. Like he is a different person. I don't see him smile anymore. He was up there tonight campaigning and he was angry and kind of arrogant, in my opinion, about how the city should be run and how the questions were asked and framed. And I'm just concerned about him losing, number one, real connectivity with affected communities in DC, like his perspective is so far removed. And two, any kind of innovative thought about how to actually solve and manage the problems in DC. He seems very comfortable in his power and his role and seems like he knows what's best for everyone, including something he said tonight about like people don't know that they need to prioritize their health care. I was like, what the hell are you talking about, Phil? Like, really, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah, that's kind of ridiculous.
It was kind of ridiculous and a little bit insulting.
It's
you
like
know?
saying like that like those articles that were like millennials aren't buying a house because they're buying avocado toast. And you're like, yeah, that's it. You nailed it. It's definitely a food item. You know, that's it for sure.
So I'm excited about this candidate forum that happened tonight and about the general election. And I want to shout out Jay Mills again, who's also running in this election for Ward 5 committee woman. That's right.
Jay's running. Oh, was that your Jay's running dance?
Vote for Jay Mills. But
we need to make a Giphy of you.
Running. We can do that.
So I really actually I didn't reconnect with you guys over the week, but I'm 100% serious. I have some like really solid ideas for your like marketing.
Oh girl, I'm coming for you. I need your help. We need your help.
Yeah.
Like seriously.
Yes.
I'm just gonna have to trust me.
Oh man, it's about to be so crazy.
Gonna have to
We only had 4%
trust
voter engagement. It's about to be like 29% of DC coming out
Just
to
from
vote.
Jay Mills alone.
Yeah.
Straight up, you should do like an aggressive Snapchat and Instagram campaign. And,
Yeah,
like,
I'm gonna
tons
be
of
really
Giphies,
aggressive.
Lots of animations. I'm serious.
I'm serious
If
too.
you
aggressive
apply, if
candidate.
you like appeal to like younger people,
Mm-hmm.
and you send the right message and you appeal to everybody, but you just really go hard on the like social media campaigning properly, like you're dropping the most fire mixtape ever, except it's your campaign.
Campaign concerts.
You're being
already
real
on
like
it.
SZA.
Huh?
You heard me.
Yo, well, she sold out the fucking Fillmore last night. Okay,
No,
Yes,
no,
she did.
no.
Thank you.
No.
The side chick.
Are you-
candidate.
what-
I don't
what-
know.
That's
That's what I
No,
heard.
I meant communicating
I just do?
what you care about with realness and authenticity.
Oh.
Not
I was
specifically not about being a side chick.
Okay.
Like, did I just?
Oh, what?
My bad. My
Wow.
bad. My bad.
I was like,
I'm
dang,
just
this took a turn.
Yeah, my bad. But back to Aja.
Yeah, we're just gonna backpedal.
So, you've been doing community-based work before you were bred for the city, and cared about Black folks' issues, working class people's issues, women's issues. I'm curious, like, you know, where did you get your foundation of values and what you care about? And tell us a little bit how you actually became the advocacy director for people who are interested in getting involved and doing the work to make their city or their community better. What's your story? What can people learn from you?
So I know this is like what everyone says, but this is true for me and probably true for a lot of people, especially if you're raised by a Black woman. That my mother is so much of who I am is my mother. Like, I am my mother's child, and as she would say, for better or for worse. Because I got all of those, Mom, if you're watching, like, obviously for better, only for better. But in terms of just caring about people, so my mother has been like an educator, a child advocate, a youth advocate, for certainly all of my adult life, but like the majority of her working life. She went to, the whole reason she like went to Howard over I actually think it was like over Harvard, or it might have been over like Boston University, but like, you know, my mom was graduated high school from Kansas City, graduated in 1969, and had her choice of schools because my mom was like a straight A student, and had really what appealed to her about Howard was like the energy of DC, and the energy of the campus, that it really was this campus that was serious about social justice, that was serious about, like, you know, Black power and really getting involved. It was a tumultuous time, like, in history, right? So she graduated right after, like, Dr. King was murdered, and so, like, she was coming to the district at a time where, you know, it was real make or break. So like there are a lot of people who like rolled out of the city, and she was like, she came and she really fell in love with it and was like, I think I want to stay here forever. And she did, except for one brief stint where she rolled to the islands on vacation, found a man, brought him to the States. He married her, got her pregnant.
Here you are.
Here I am. But yeah, but my mother is like such a fierce advocate, and it's so much of who she is that like I didn't have a choice. Same for my sister, even though we're different in a lot of ways. Like we just, like my sister, I said the other day, I was like, you're just like a good person. And just so
You don't think you are?
I know,
you're
right?
such a good person. But she's like such a good person. Like sometimes she does stuff and I'm like, you're a good person.
Sometimes
Like,
you're kind of off the chain.
yeah, sometimes I'm like not a good person. Sometimes I'm like, I am a savage. Like sometimes I'm like, I am a Taurus. I'm like, yeah, I really want my way here. And like sometimes my sister is like does something, I'm like, you're a good person. But like my mom is like, you know, I've been organizing since I was in like elementary school. Also, like my dad is militant, so my dad's like, you know, not super into like the police or like white people, or so it was just like, this was my upbringing was this very like Afrocentric, like pro-Black mom. And also like this kind of like militant side that I was like, I don't know if I buy everything you're saying, but like I see where you're going here. And like have always been a child who was inclined to like get the things that I thought I was due, and to get the things that I thought like my classmates were due. So like we had when I was in second grade, we had a city, like, you know, to teach kids economics, because I went to a school that had, you know, a whole bunch of white kids, so we got critical thinking and stuff like that in Montgomery County.
Hey.
I know, it's like sucks that you have to go to school with a bunch of white kids to get that,
Moco
but
has great schools.
it does. And like I went to a really good DC public school too, and when we invest in stuff like that,
Which
we
school?
invest in good. I went to school at Walls. Whoop whoop, Penguins for life. Okay, Penguins. We're the best. #1 school in
Is there
DC.
like a penguin like waddle?
Banneker.
Like
well,
well, you were like super hyped about penguins. I assumed there was like a dance. Or like
Penguins.
no, but we should get on that. 15-year reunion. We gotta get us like a waddle, like do us like a little line dance or
You
something.
can make it sexy though.
we can't.
Waddle.
I'm just
Waddle,
saying.
waddle.
I'm just saying.
Shake it.
But like we were in class and we had this city, but the teacher was the mayor of the city, and we were the
What?
workers.
You
And
can
I was
have
just
sex
like,
with those
that
guys.
don't make no sense, right? Like I was just like, we are like, it's our city, like this is our class. Why are you the mayor? Like that didn't make no sense. And so I like organized my classmates, and I was like, we need a mayor.
You had, like, a
so that we
coup.
could like get a mayor, right? But I also like had, because I'm a tourist, and I was like, and I'm gonna be the mayor. Like we need a mayor, and it's me. So like, yeah, I had to work out that like
I'm
manipulative.
the one
part of
that
my
saw that we
personality.
needed a mayor.
I mean,
If anyone else had seen it, it could be them, but it wasn't. So it's
but
me.
it wasn't. But like, that always has
Dig
been
it.
kind of like my inclination, and I organized with the NAACP when I was in the youth council. So I was like 14, registering voters, like going like shaking my fist, like, "What do you mean you don't vote? Of course your vote counts!" And like it's always that.
I mean, it's awesome though.
I'm
I don't
so
think it's
whack.
selfish. I think it was, no.
No, I'm just like whack. Like my mom used to punish me, like, "You can't go to your NAACP meeting," and I was like, "What?
Oh wow.
You can't have a book?" And I was like, "I can't have a book."
Well, this
Oh
is
my
very
God.
confusing.
I'm so whack. I know, but in like
You can't have
oddly
both.
Because you were
popular.
shaking your fist at people.
Oh no, not because of that. Like when I would get in trouble. I mean, I'm just like
Oh,
that's
okay.
that's the child I was. I was like, I would get in trouble and be like, "You can't go to any of your actions," and it was like, "What? They're my actions."
That's so awesome.
it's
I hope,
so-
I hope my
so
kid is like
familiar.
you.
No, it's super cool. It's super cool. I
It
wasn't
is.
paying. I was like, 9. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't like, I wasn't doing any of that. You know?
Yeah. I'm curious how both of you ladies, but you may not have cared when you were 9, but you're both very conscious and caring about the future of this
Yeah.
city now.
Yeah.
So I'm curious what, shaped you to actually
I'm
give
kind of
a
lying right now because I actually was the
Come on,
founder and the no, I'm totally like correcting myself. I was the founder and the president of the Homelessness Awareness Committee, and I was also the founder and the president of a multicultural awareness committee in high
Of
school.
course you were.
Come on.
There was like 8 black kids in the whole school. It
Don't
was
hide
like
from your
6
roots.
through 12. I don't know. It was
Molly's
very,
like, I'm rolling with
Don't
them.
hide from your roots.
I was like, I see you.
That's awesome. What about you, Jay?
I definitely came from a very woke family. A lot of what you said just really resonated with me. It was very generational. My parents were from the South. They went to Howard. And
The other HU.
they were there like Stokely Carmichael, like the 70s. They protested the A building. Like they real Howard. My mom had a fro Howard.
Hey.
Early 70s.
Is that that picture you posted? Did I see a picture?
when
or
I'm
was
like
that
a
you?
baby with
Oh.
a fro? Oh, no. Like the Nah.
What's your mama's name? Our mamas might have been in school together because my mama was there. She
Oh,
graduated in like 74.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Well, medical school,
The my auntie Gillian was at medical school at Howard.
Dr.
What?
Young.
Shush. Okay, I gotta.
Your mom's probably watching right now, so maybe.
Yeah.
she can-
Mom, fact check.
Yeah,
Did
Dr.
her,
Young.
did her mama go to Howard?
Oh, everybody. They know my mama
Did her
and
mama
my
go to Howard?
daddy.
Type it in the
Howard
database.
and me, but yeah, like real woke. Like I had to read Their Eyes. I had to watch Their Eyes was on the prize growing up, and I read They Came Before Columbus, and I read Roots when I was really young, like elementary school, young. I had arguments with my teachers all the time, getting kicked out because I just pointed out the fallacies in public education.
Come on
And I
now.
was always on my high horse. My parents were always called to school, and they'd be like, "Did she doing her work? Did she get A's on her tests? So what is the problem?"
Mhm.
Oh,
Yes.
You
Just
have a
saying.
problem because she doesn't. You
Teachers saying you're threatening.
Yeah, my parents were just man, just watching my parents' son a teacher. It's kind of unfortunate in retrospect, but now as an adult, I realize why they did what they did, and they took every joy in every second of letting this entitled woman know that you're wasting two doctors' time telling them how brilliant their daughter is and how bored she is learning your misinformation. Try harder. But, just that whole idea, like, make it better, go further, speak up, never let ignorance or lies or injustice happen around you, and you just do nothing. Like, the idea of doing nothing was foreign. If you need it, build it. If you see it, make it. Like, make that shit happen. Not making it happen is just not an option. It's not a thought. There's so many different mantras I had. Mediocrity is unacceptable. Being just okay with what's average, what the bare minimum is, or just being okay with what is expected of you is not enough. Just that whole black excellence, that whole gotta be twice as good to get half as far was all the way poured in. But, with my name being Jamila, my sister Jendai, my parents are not African.
I'm Aja.
Exactly. I think that there's something, to say about those parents that made that choice, because you're making a choice when you try to not name your kid Michael Johnson or give them a good white sounding name so that they can get a job. And you say, no, I'm going to name him Jamal, Jamila, Malik. Right, Aja. You're making a declaration that you are a person of color, and you're gonna know it when you call my name. So, shout outs to just being an activist. You're an activist by name, by making somebody say your name properly. Like, your name is an activism when you are named of an ethnic type. You could try easily and have a nice little European name, but if you choose to be anything other than that, you are just a walking activism every time you introduce yourself.
And
Word up.
And I think a lot of it is also like, so a lot of times when people ask, I'm like, well, I'm black, I was a girl, and I was in public school, and I was smart, and I had a smart ass mouth. Like, what choice did I have but to learn how to advocate for myself in a school system where my mother would like try to hand pick my teachers, and like the things that she was looking for was like, how do they do with like black children? Like, are they putting them out? Like, what are the things, what do they care about? Because I was a person who was very hands-on. I was very busy. And I was like very, was very, very social. And so she wanted to know, like, will this person treat my child right was important. And for me, that was, I remember early on, an indicator, like when I had teachers who were calling my parents wanted me expelled because they thought I plagiarized a paper. Because, like, no way that I wrote that myself, even though I was in a magnet program. But, of course, they thought I affirmative actioned my way into it. So it's like, you aren't actually smart enough to write a book report about a friggin', like, cricket in Chinatown. I was just like, this was not, like, I didn't write, like, some Aristotle level stuff. But it was very clear to me that my mother had to do something that the majority of my peers were white. Their parents never had to come to school and prove that they wrote a paper. Their parents never had to come to school and prove that they, did whatever on a test, or that they actually, that some project or product of them was actually theirs. And it was just clear to me that my mom would have to do something extra, and that other black kids who were in my school had parents who couldn't do that for a host of reasons.
Right.
So my mom could do, because she was HNIC, could be like, okay, I'm gonna go over here and take care of my kid, and I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna be right back, right, when they're trying to suspend me and trying to expel me.
I have a similar experience as both of you, but different at the same time. I also, when I was in high school, was a straight A student, but questioned if I plagiarized.
I wasn't a straight A student. Mom, I just want to say I'm not lying. Because she's going to be like, I know you wasn't in there lying. I wasn't. I didn't do my homework.
I wasn't a straight A student either.
I was, and still was.
You were a straight A student?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I don't know why I even asked that.
Wow.
For like elementary, middle, and high school.
You were a straight A student in high school?
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah. Hold on. Where I went to high school wasn't like Montgomery County or anything like that.
You
So
just threw shade on a whole county.
well,
county.
no, Montgomery County has good schools.
No, I think she's shading her own
I'm
school
not
system.
from.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm
your
shading.
own
I'm
county.
shading Washington County, which is in Western Maryland. Which most people watching this, I'm not from there. I was born
What
in
city
PG.
is in Washington County?
Hagerstown.
Oh wow.
Oh, I
That's
thought that was in
far.
like Allegheny or Mo County, Howard. Never mind. I
It's
sound real
far.
southeast right now. I'm sorry.
I went to high school there, and it
So
was
southeast.
majority white folks, but majority working class people. You know, the schools there face honestly some of the same issues that are here in DC. Not getting funding, not being updated, not getting the renovations that they need, so the classrooms are warm enough or cool enough for people to learn. Just outdated materials, you know. But it's definitely worse in DC. I'm proud to say that I at least got a decent public education. But, you know, I was still questioned, like my Black excellence was still questioned, even though I made straight A's. I was the president of Spanish Club. I was on the Student Government Association as a secretary. I was in the Key Club. Like my mom, who is white, taught me that I could be whatever I wanted to be, but she was clear because she was married into and loved Black people, aware of the systematic challenges that we face. So she had reinforced in me that I was going to have to work really hard and make sure that I excelled in school so that I could get to where I wanted to be in life. And so I hear both of you ladies talking about the strong Black values that were instilled in you from your moms. And I think that that's such a beautiful thing. And I don't know, I have wrestled with this as a biracial person, is having and expressing Black love and not having it be at the same time an expression of anti-whiteness. That having love for my culture, my identity doesn't mean that I don't like white people. But at the same time, recognizing the white supremacist, sexist, xenophobic structure that we live within, and how do I hold white people, advocates, council members, people in my family or in my community, how do I hold them accountable and help transform them to understand that Black love doesn't mean I don't like you. That's not what it means at all. I'm curious about all of your thoughts on that, actually.
I do have a thought ready.
No.
Boom.
My first thought was that just because there's a difference between white people and white culture, and when we're like against white people, what we're really saying is that we're against white culture, and there's nothing good about white culture in its definition, why it was created, the definition of its opposition being Black, the justification for the treatment of anyone who is not white, when white is nothing. Actually, you're European. I mean, we've gone through this before. If you really want to break it down, there's an identity crisis because there's an elephant in the room that people don't want to discuss. But I think the easiest way to really talk about what is white culture, is to use another animal that's not a human being. Let's pick African lions. Okay, lions in Africa. What if the African lion decided to do what white culture, European, Western culture decided to unite and do to the rest of the humans on the world? If the African lions were like, we're going to kill all the jaguars and the cheetahs. We're going to travel to Tasmania and we're going to kill all of those cats. We're going to travel to Europe and to South America. We're going to travel all around, and anytime we see another cat that is different from us, they must either conform to us in subjugation or die. What if any other living creature did what white culture does? What would the earth look like?
And that's a hard truth, but it's a fact. It is what it is. So, and when you look at that in opposition to every other culture, and the subtleties of the difference of the uniqueness as it was before it encountered this need to eradicate or assimilate everything that it touched. It's the difference, you know? I don't know what that feels like to be on the other side, but it is what it is. And we can't do nothing if we don't talk about it. But, you know, you don't hate the people. It's the culture. It's the idea. It's the facts. It's the genocide. It's the political, socio prison complex. It's the educational system. It's the Columbus days.
Everything.
It's every fucking thing that's wrong about the fact that you decided that this culture is the leading culture and anything else is something different that is less than, it's a minority. Or so, like, what?
Well, how do you determine then who embraces that culture and then who is aware of it but is actively, like, how do you have those conversations to even get at it? Because you don't want to marginalize people.
I think the analogy
you know?
of it, when you kind of do it like that, when you stop talking about black and white, you know, you just, let's pick another animal. Let's just let's talk about what if that, and then where does it fit in? Because we know that, you know, let's say that the cheetahs was like, oh, lions is deep. I'm going to go ahead and do what they want. Matter of fact, why don't you go ahead and get those leopards? And the cheetahs were safe. Like,
which people do. Communities do. Aja, what do you think?
I mean, so I think that, so kind of piggybacking on what you were saying, that there's a difference between white people and whiteness. And so, yeah, I'm like, I'm not cool with whiteness and like with how you've described like white culture. And frankly, white people shouldn't be either.
right.
Because, and I heard someone say like people who were identified as white or people who were made white. Because what's real is like when people came here, like when these concepts were created, although I must say like colorism does predate the creation of
Yes,
the
as
social
does
construction of
classism.
race. But this very specific racialized caste system and the creation of whiteness is why you have a ton of people. If I was white, I'd be pissed, because you actually could have some culture, right? You actually could be Italian and actually be connected to some Italian roots, or you could be Polish and be connected to some Polish roots, or you could be like all of these countries where most of the people are like what we would identify or classify as white, right? You could be like the Kardashians and be like, I'm super like Armenian and like I love that, which they are. But I will also say it's hard because like they're also white. And so for them,
Right.
and I see this for a lot of people who have really deep cultural roots, like really deep ties to a cultural heritage, where they're like, I see it, I get into conversations about it with some of my folks who are like Jewish. Like, I'm not white, I'm Jewish. And I'm like, yeah, except there also are black Jews, right? And so like there's a difference between like how black Jews are treated, how white Jews are treated, or Jews who are perceived as white are treated. So there is this real need for like white people to really be race traders essentially and say like, we are going to give up the powers that whiteness affords us to really be a traitor against that and do this other thing so that I can actually live in harmony. Because whiteness is destructive.
Is that deep?
Right? It's destroying the world. Racialized capitalism is literally destroying the planet, and we only have one. And so really having that conversation in terms of how to talk with white family members, I'll say like one of my good friends, and I think she is watching, and I'm gonna say your name, Taylor. I love Taylor. Taylor's my fave. But I mean, in terms of just like conversations that she has with family, like I think it'd be good. So I don't have, that I know of, any white family members. So like I'm not sure sort of like what I would say to one, except for like the same kind of conversations I have with like my white friends, like white people who I love, where it's just a candid conversation about like what the cost is. And it's like, you know, the thing about white pride is that it is predicated on like destruction of black people, destruction of the environment. It's predicated on superiority, as opposed to Black pride, which is just like this deep love and appreciation and recognition that like we all actually can be here. And it's just, it's yeah.
Molly, I'm curious about your thoughts as our resident white
white
person.
person.
Oh man.
Hey,
But
I feel like we need
also-
like a graphic for that.
As the resident.
No pressure, no pressure.
This
But
whole
also,
time.
if y'all missed, go back and watch the show with Born Eye, where Molly officially received her black card in public.
God.
Hey.
As someone
Very
who
uncomfortable
is
moment for me.
white, I know, but cool though. Oh yeah, because I was like, yeah, we anyway. So as our resident Irish American
Hey, thank you for that.
/ white
Appreciate it.
representative, I'm curious about your thoughts on this and how like you reconcile, or because I know that you're a conscious and aware person. So how do you talk to other white folks, or even encounter or deal with people of color who don't frame things in the same way that the three of us have? Candid and honest, but oftentimes with anger, you know?
I mean, I think, I don't know. I guess my situation's a little different. Like, I grew up in such a super Irish household, you know, at a young age. But then my family got very disjointed very quickly, and I was the youngest of four. So I didn't have a lot of family structure, you know, past like 9, 10, 11 at all. And the earlier days were like, you know, we all like Irish dance, like river dance. Like,
Really?
Yeah. Like,
Now you still?
no. Only when I'm really drunk and I got a penny
I
whistle
always
in
watch
my hand.
the
Yeah.
dancers.
No, I did
to
not.
Rough Trap.
I did not. No, like Michael Flatley, like I like grew up with that guy. Like it was hard. I danced at the White House for Ronald Reagan like a few times. It's a long story. I don't think there's any pictures, but there's actually a picture on my Facebook of me in an Irish dancing uniform with like my hair in curls, and I look like the saddest little girl on the planet. Like I'm really cute until you zoom in on my face and you can just see like the existential crisis I'm having. It's like it's so on point. But no, I think, but then just not having a strong family structure, I've just been like in the universe and floating around. And so I have loved who's loved me and opened their home to me. And even my very first best friend growing up was like Cambodian. There was like 19 people living in his little house. And like my parents never discouraged any of that. You know what I mean? Like there was never any, you know, like, so I just grew up appreciating people, you know, and it wasn't until getting older and just really recognizing, like, I mean, I totally, like, you know, I really thought racism was, like, on the downslope. I realize how dumb that is now. But, like, Ferguson really just, like, opened my eyes. You know what I mean? Like, I just really thought things had gotten better. And I realized not only are they not, but, like, how could I have not realized that, you know?
Girl, we had all hoped things got better when we elected Obama. We knew it wasn't, but there was hope.
Yeah, and I mean, living here, I feel like it's a bubble, and I grew up here, and it's a bubble, and so, you know, now I'm much more aware, and, like, I don't want to be that, like, super woke white person that's just, like, you know.
I'm so down.
At dinner and, like, dropping all these, like, just turning everything into, like, yeah, well, you know what black people have to do with, like, I don't want to be that person, but I definitely check people all the time. Like, if I'm in an environment, I, like, you know, as like nicely and quietly and carefully as I can. But, you know, everybody's got racist ass old people in their life, man. You know what I mean? And on both sides of the fence. And so, you know, it's just.
I don't have
Black
any
people
racist
can't
old
be
people.
racist.
Okay, well,
I
was
do.
like,
maybe you don't.
I was like, not
but-
my
I do. You
fence.
should hear some of the shit my dad says.
I mean, I got some
Mad
like
respect to my
Italian
dad, though.
family members that are like.
But is your dad black?
Yes.
Then he can't
But
be
he
racist.
can't be racist.
He
We
can be
don't control
prejudiced.
any
He can be
system.
bigoted.
Well,
he can be stereotypical.
Oh yeah, like my dad doesn't
He
like
was saying
white
some
people.
bigoted,
disrespectful,
prejudiced
condescending,
I
and
things.
feel like
He can
I feel
be
like a
ignorant.
lot of old people are,
Yeah.
and not even
can't
necessarily
be
racist,
racist.
but people like say terrible thing about like Polacks and Italians and Mexicans. It's like no one's safe. You know what I mean? Like if you were born before a certain year, you just have like no concept of like world unity at all. You know what I mean? So I feel like, you know, in my life though, like I don't really, you know. I don't find myself in a lot of situations where I have to correct anybody because I'm like here in this building and like, you know what I mean? Like my life doesn't, you know, you know, I'm not having those conversations with people because my life doesn't look like that. You know what I mean? My
Not
life is
yet.
very diverse, you know? Like, you know what I mean? Like in many, many ways. So, I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know. I think just knowing when to shut the fuck up is like really important. So I'm gonna go ahead do that right now.
Thank you for sharing all of your thoughts, ladies. I think this has been so far a really rich and vibrant conversation. I'm gonna pivot a little bit because it's 10:17 and there's a question I've been dying to ask Aja before we go into our metaphysical moment. So I was digging on your Facebook page and I saw a picture of you. You look so young and you're like cuddled up beside Common. Tell us this story. Are you putting the picture up, please? Nick?
Oh, yeah.
Whoa.
First of all, how old are you? And
first of all, I was grown.
Oh,
I was 20.
You look like you was about 16.
That's because black don't crack, okay?
Hey.
Thanks, Mom and Dad. So, yeah. So Common, if someone sends you this link, I just want to let you know, like, I mean, I am dating, but obviously I will drop all of them. Not all of them. I mean, the person.
Half.
No. Shut it. I'm getting myself in trouble here. I'm like, oh, let me backtrack. Let me stop talking. Let me focus on the topic at hand.
It is common though.
Yes, it's common. That's what we're talking about. So, I went to school at Walls, and we have this auction every year that by our PTA, but they're called HSA, Homeschool Association. Just the same thing. It's a PTA. And they have this auction, and usually they auction off stuff like, you know, paintings that we did, or like different experiences and stuff. Nothing like high key, like tight. This one year, this is after I had already graduated from Walls, but my mom loves an auction. Okay, like she cannot. There's not a silent auction, a live auction. She's like, I may not. It's so funny. She's like, you can outpay me, but you can't outbid me. Okay, like she will go bid on some shit. So we go to this auction, and it's fun. We should, Mom, if you're watching, like, we should start going to that because it was fun. One of the things that was up for auction was a meet and greet with Common, because he had just written that children's book, and it was like, and a book signing. And she was like, wouldn't you love this? And I was like, well, obviously I am like an obsessive fan, and yes, I would love it. And I was like, wouldn't it just be great if like we also could get married? And she was like, that's no. But she like was bidding on it, and was bidding on it against like the woman who put it up for auction in the first place, who like wanted it apparently for her kid. And I was like, chill. But my mom was like, represent, okay. And like it was a white woman parent, and I just felt real like that was another like defeat. I was like, yes, black women triumphing over all. Afterwards, my mom was like, how are you gonna pay for this? And I was like, I don't know, but you know,
we got it.
I gotta get with Common. So it was supposed to be just like a book signing, meet and greet thing, and then like you go on your way. My mother, I call her the pimp, because she is like, that is my girl. Like, she's the manifester of all things. So like, there's a thing that she wants that we want. She is like, don't even trip. I'm about to manifest this. This is about to be glorious. Common's godmother is a superintendent, and so like my mom works with superintendents all over the country, and so my mom knew Common's godmother, like his real life, like that's my godmom, his godmom, right? And she was like, let me just see. And so she like hits her up. She's like, hey girl, she's a black woman, obviously. She's like, hey girl, like, you know, like my daughter, like I want her this thing. It's this, but for what I paid for, obviously she's gonna be a little more than like him signing some book. You know what I'm saying? And the godmom was like, well, let me see what I can do. So he was coming to Artscape, and my mom had hooked it up. So this is when Timothy Dean's was open. So Timothy Dean's doesn't even open before 5. She done got Timothy Dean's to open up, child. We the only people in the restaurant, okay? And it is me and Common. It turned into dinner, girl. He was like, so the package was like, you could have 6 friends go with you. I'm like, this a date. I ain't bringing no. What? It's like me and Common, and we ain't signing no books no more. Me and Common going to Timothy Dean's. Friends? I don't have no friends. So, no. I was like, I don't have no friends. They were like, do you want to sign anyone else up? I was like, no, obviously not. His assistant came. She was a woman. Shout out to you, Rhea. I mean, I ended up really loving you, but I was like, where's she sitting? She had to sit at the next table. I wasn't playing no games. We was on a
You are
date.
hilarious.
Yeah, look.
Yo,
I was
mean,
on
did
a
you see?
date.
Did you see the picture though? She's
We
like,
were,
she
was
looked like
"Let's
she
take a
booed
picture."
up.
We were booed. Look, I have lots of pictures. Look, I can show y'all. Okay, because
Wait, how
we
long
were,
ago was this? And you
I
saw
was 20. I'm 31 now.
And they're
But
just
like, let me tell
It
you.
was
Let me
just
tell
like
you
yesterday.
about God. Well, also, I have a dope personality because we were supposed to be like eat dinner and like go to Artscape and then like go home. We went to Artscape. It was pouring down rain. He was like, "Go get your mama," because she was like out in the crowd. He was like, "Don't have your mama out there in the rain." I was like, "We really do go together now." So I went and got my mom. I was like, "Girl, come and say, come out the rain." Comment had said, "Come out the rain." So we came out the rain. Like after it was done, I like sent my mom home. I was like, "All right, well, all right, girl." And he was like, "Oh, do you want to like hang out?" So I was like hanging out, like eating snacks and stuff. And I was like, "Oh my God, this is so bomb."
Did you feed him?
I did not because I was like, I was really
I
focused.
know. Put the microphone down.
I was so upset. No, well, it's like because obviously I could have gotten in there before Serena messed me. You know what I'm saying?
Oh man.
I really wasn't living. I was not on my game.
No, Common wasn't on his game.
Yeah.
He obviously.
Right.
Yes, but also I should have been in my lock and load mode, and I wasn't.
Lock and load.
What is the lock and
mode?
load
What
mode?
What
I
is
can't,
that?
I can't tell you about
Is there like
that.
a handbook for that? I
It's-
want to know.
It's in the
I feel
vestibule.
like I could use more
Oh,
locking
it's in the
It's
vestibule.
in the It's in the upper room. Okay.
Man.
Yeah. And then fast forward, I saw him at the club like a few years
club?
later. Go came out. What was it called? Fly Lounge.
in.
Oh shit!
I know.
know.
I used to be at the club every single day of the week, so it was like a
I'm
Tuesday.
surprised we never met each other in the club.
Because I
used to
used
be,
to.
oh wait,
be.
you're a little bit younger than me, so
Yeah.
man.
I had a really weird experience on a lot of mushrooms at Fly Nightclub.
Oh no.
I cannot do that and be around.
I don't
other
do
humans.
mushrooms.
Way
Mom.
too many mirrors in that joint. Like every time you turn around, it's just like another reflection of yourself. And when you're on mushrooms, it's like the worst.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, I used to be doing things up in Fly too, but then they changed it to the
Whoa.
Getaway.
Not
What?
clarifying
I haven't
was
been there
worse
since it was Fly.
than leaving it vague in this case.
I mean, Red. Can we
Well,
just shout out Red?
Red, yes. Oh my
Red.
god.
What's red? I'm old
It was
now. I'm old
red.
and washed.
It was
So,
Red before it was Fly. It was like a legendary dance spot. Like you could go there and like dance to house music and get
So
hit on by like
cool.
short, creepy foreign guys in leather jackets. But
None of that
These are
sounds like
facts.
my jam.
You could
No.
smoke weed in there
Yeah.
before
They got-
it was legal.
it was like
in
great
DC.
house.
remember
music,
that part.
Great house music. And it was a basement, and there was like this giant candle, and it was just like that place
Those
that was
the
like
cool people. It was
awesome.
unpretentious.
It was super unpretentious, and they stayed open till 4. And like
could
that was
wear
when like
whatever you
nothing stayed
wanted.
open that
The
late.
places I aspired to were the Black Hole, the Icebox.
Yeah.
I don't know about those places.
Wait, really?
It's like a whole different place.
Yeah.
from what you're
Go-go spot.
At that same time,
At
concurrently.
that same time. One of my biggest things. Oh my God, I can't believe I was like, okay, whatever. I'm gonna say it.
501.
Mom, don't judge me. But no, not work. I say all kinds of things at work. But the
No, 501 Club.
501. I thought you were thinking about C3.
No,
and
I know,
was
right? I was like, wait, no.
I
We
was
talking
like,
about
no, I was like,
Icebox,
Yeah.
Black Hole.
I wanted my godbrothers used to bring home these videos. This is back when they would like film and like so you would have a band, but they would also have like video girls and they would do like these like videos. I wanted to be in one of those so badly.
It's never too late.
I've been
know,
in
I
a
was-
video before.
No, it is. I was
Yeah.
like, but why was I was really aspiring to that. Like I was like, I'm really should don't. Wow.
I
Are you
just
judging
wanted
me?
my voice to be in the background of a go-go. Like, I wanted to be that.
Mike doesn't judge anyone.
Also, Aja,
I wanted that to be me,
Like,
like,
Shirley, and I'm
yes.
like, what about
Yes, right. Yes.
What about me?
I just, that,
Yeah. See, cheating.
it's nothing like getting a shout out while Backyard is rocking. And shout outs to Big G.
Whoop, whoop.
Shout outs to Backyard, man. I'm BYB for life.
For life.
But yeah, man, that culture. Do it for the
that
culture.
crew remix. Thank you so much for that.
You know, I was in a music video. I was a hot music video chick
Where?
once.
Oh.
Wait, one.
Yes, I was here in Washington.
Why didn't you
DC.
tell us to put that on the show notes,
Yeah.
Nikki? Jeez, we could be pulling that up right now.
Next week.
What's it
tagging
called?
you. I'll
Well,
tag her today. If
wait,
you're
Is
watching,
it online?
I'll tag her now.
I don't know. See, what had happened
No.
was
Uh-oh.
I was working at
Don't backtrack.
I was working at Indie Blue. I don't know if y'all remember that place. And I was bartending downstairs, and they had this Nigerian hip hop artist come in. He wanted to film his music video there. But see, he was actually short some people, so they just recruited me. But they put me in this fabulous all black sequin like body cat suit. I had my little hair flipped out and everything.
That sounds cute.
And I was the cute girl in the video. But then they wanted me to come out to somewhere that was far in Maryland that I didn't have a car and make the rest of the video. And I was like, y'all are sketchy. I'm not doing this. So
Come make the rest of the video.
I don't know.
If you're out there.
I don't actually know what they did to continue the story. Maybe they found someone that looked like me. Maybe they just reshot everything. Maybe they changed up the story
Found
concept.
you a body double. I
don't
need to
know.
see
They're
the
out
video.
there. They're out searching for
But
this like.
I didn't aspire. I never aspired. It was just like I was there.
No,
It was an
I aspired.
opportunity. Respect.
I aspired.
Respect.
This is what happens when you watch HBO.
It's a great thing to aspire to. Although when I was little, I really wanted to be a fly girl. Like, who didn't?
Yes.
You
Yes.
know? So
Yes.
shout out to the fly girls. But you know what, ladies? It is 10:28, so it is that time.
Wow. That was 11 minutes.
It is that. I know. That was a good common story, though.
It was great.
You're a great storyteller.
You are.
Probably also why you're a great organizer and advocate, because you know how to tell things.
And engage people.
Yes, in an engaging way and in a real way.
Thanks, loves.
You know, so
Indeed.
I want to.
Common, I am single. I mean, just that's how I filed my taxes.
Yes, yes. Common, I am
That
not
was
single,
So slippery.
Yeah,
but
none of them are single.
I
so,
fully
like,
endorse
it's only me.
a relationship with Aja in the very near future. If you're watching,
single.
Or a
Vote for Aja.
situationship. I'm open.
situationship, a little situation.
I would have split with Serena.
We can get it. Wait. Nah, Serena moved on.
I know.
You know?
I know
She
her
got
baby
her
is
whole
so
half on a
baby,
man.
The whole husband.
A whole husband.
Yes.
So cute.
So cute.
So cute.
So cute.
But I want to actually hand it over to Jay Mills to take us to a metaphysical moment. Are you ready?
Yes.
Let's do this.
She's born ready, y'all. Vote for Jay Mills.
If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready.
I love your voice. I could listen to it all day.
Oh, thank you. Oh my goodness. Snap, 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 snap. Metaphysical moment brought to you by the real J Mills. I've been meditating on this thought of happiness being a choice and how important the now is. You know, it's the simple truths in this whole beautiful art of human being that we seem to overlook. And one of them is the fact that the only thing that actually is, like, we get caught up in a lot of things that aren't. We get caught up in who wasn't there, what they didn't say, what they should have done, what I meant to do, what could be happening, what should be happening, what was supposed to happen but didn't, what such and such. All this shit that actually does not even exist at all. It doesn't exist in such a way that it will never exist. But you're thinking about these things. The only thing that is real, few things are actually real. Few things. One of the only things is now. And now is forever changing. That's why the present is called the present, because it's a gift. And you were not granted this present at any moment. You could die. Your next breath is not a given. All that exists is now. And the past is a thought. It's what you thought it was. And you can change how you thought the past was. You know, you can look back in life at this point in life and think about things that happened to you as a child and how you reacted to it as a child, but look back at it as an adult and have a completely different conception of that moment. You have changed time. You time travel. You went back in your head, back to the past, felt some kind of way and decided to feel differently. But what does that mean? Did you even change the past? Did you change anybody else's past? What the fuck was it? What is happening while you up here thinking about the past now and you're missing it? Now let's talk about the future and what it could be. I started off by saying that happiness is a choice. It is a choice that you choose to make it any now that you choose to make it. Anything could make you happy if you choose to think of things that make you happy, but you could spend your now thinking of things that make you unhappy for no reason at all, wasting your present, wasting this gift, wasting what is now and who is here and what people are doing, what you do have, how far you have gotten. You are lost in some shit that doesn't even exist, waiting for so many people looking for this to make them happy. I'll be happy when I get this. I'll be happy once I do that. I'll be happy when I meet them, do this, looking for something outside of you when all you ever needed at any point in time to be happy was yourself. 'Cause you're here and you don't have to be. And that simple truth right there, that you are here, and what are you doing with your now? How are you living your best life? How are you thanking those that are doing? How are you using your gifts? How are you moving forward? Or are you looking backwards? Are you looking sideways? Are you looking anywhere but where you should be looking, which is for happiness that you already have within yourself, man? That's my metaphysical message. It was just short and sweet. Cause I was just so, people be thinking like, you know, I got some kind of, I don't know, I talk about I'm on a natural high. Like I medicate to come down because my thoughts are just so up there, so up in the sky. I choose to be in the sky. I could choose to look down if I wanted to. And sometimes, if I get real honest, sometimes I trip. And that makes me look down. What the fuck was I tripping on? Did I just trip? Thought I was walking smooth and some shit on the ground makes me trip. Next thing I know, I'm lost. Looking down at the ground. Missing the stars. You make a choice on what you choose to focus on. And you can choose to focus on anything. Anything at all. You could choose to be happy and focus on life, focus on what you have, focus on who is, focus on what is at all times. That's it. Focus on that. When you find yourself drifting, when you find yourself looking down, because you're walking on water, man. You a star floating out in the nothingness of space, suspended despite all physical, what is up and down, truthfully, as you live. To be alive is a gift. To be born is a gift. The fact that you even were the sperm that made it. Don't you know? Don't you know how many people pray? People pay hundreds of thousands of dollars wishing one nut would. And here you are. Yeah. That's my metaphysical message. Before I get too physical in the matter.
But you know what, though? Anytime I feel like I might be looking down, I just need to get the on fleek eyelashes like you that will help, like, naturally just, like, lift me back up, you know? Because you can't look down when your eyelashes look that good, yo.
You can. That's how the haters can see them.
Oh!
You wouldn't.
Yes. Well, I want to thank our viewers for tuning in again. We love y'all. We really appreciate y'all. Thank you for the comments. I want to have an extra big Black Love, big thank you to Aja Taylor, advocacy director, absolutely, of Bread for the City. Definitely check out Bread for the City.
And donate if you like, if you think our work sounds good. I'm like, donate.
Yeah, man. Shout out to you. I meant to ask some questions. You were doing so great with them, and really, like, the conversation was excellent. But it was just because shout out to Howard. Whoop whoop. Community development. George came to our class, our community development class, and spoke a lot about Bread for the City. At the time, this was a few years ago. He had just gotten there, but he was talking about the huge just jump in fundraising in the millions. This man has brought millions and millions of dollars.
Go on, black man.
This black man, this young black man has brought millions. I think that'll make him smile. Let's call him young.
It is, and it's gone to help low income and
they have a new facility
folks.
that you all have opened now. I guess, but before it wasn't open yet on the south side.
Oh, so that was a while ago. We've been open in Southeast now since 2002.
No, Okay.
Look, you dating yourself.
Current events with
I
J
said a
Mills.
few years ago, and
Yeah, you
she
said a few
just
years ago, and I was like,
kind of threw that one out. Few is not an adjective I can use towards the amount of words years that was.
when you said he was kind of new there, and I was like, well, he's been there 19 years. He's been there 19 years. But
Yes.
Jay's actually 56 years old.
I'm like, you're the real unicorn. I'm like, wait a minute. How old are you?
Time flies.
78.
Like 2002, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
I know.
Oh my God.
So you know you're old when like 2001 and 2011 seem like almost the same, but then you're like, no.
The decades
Literally.
different.
Like you can mix it up sometimes.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay, well, shout
But
out
donate,
to him.
support
Donate,
that work,
Yeah.
because
Yes.
that is how.
Yeah.
That's how it happens.
Yeah.
Bread, BREADFORTHECITY. Breadforthecity.org. Not .com, .org. Check it out. See the work that Aja's been up to. See how you can get involved if you can't donate. If you can donate.
donate
Like,
time,
people
too.
need this, for real in the city. And definitely follow the hashtag Decision18 so you know what's going on in the DC city elections. Your vote matters. And we're going to keep agitating y'all about that.
You can also follow us on Twitter, our organizing work, at BFC Organizing. B like Buffalo, F
like
like
bread.
Frank. Oh, B like bread, duh. F like Ford,
I like
duh.
Buffalo better.
C like city.
I liked Frank.
Duh. Organizing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Follow all of us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We really appreciate y'all engaging with us. And once again, thank you to the whole crew at One Love Massive, to Molly Rulin for hosting us here
Thank you.
in the historic Shaw. Black love to everyone. Happy Black History Month. And we will catch you next week. Peace out.